And when we had a prep discussion for this fireside chat session, one of the things that you told me is that oftentimes these developed apps and software, they end up going out, but they never end up really getting back to the developer who is really responsible for making the decisions. That feedback loop doesn't really quite happen, isn't complete. And so your goal, you said, has really been to figure out how do you help developers make better decisions. So explain why that is so important. And then, well, we'll get into even more specifics later. What would you say are one or two of the biggest pain points where that feedback loop between dev, sec, and ops really tends to break down?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you. The approach we're taking to this is really fun. You know, when you think about it, the feedback loop in particular is very challenging. And it's not just challenging for security, it's challenging for all things that are related to development and operations for software. But in particular, security had been left out in the 1970s. And so if you look at some of the quality aspects that are related to software these days that help with getting a feedback loop established, essentially developers are looking at the availability of their applications, the performance, all the ilities, if you will, except for one of those major ilities, which is security. And in particular, because most of the telemetry out there doesn't necessarily take into consideration what is the security use case, always an edge case or an abuse case of some sorts. So, you know, from my research and the work that I've been doing on the ground day to day, what I find is that it's very difficult for developers, and it shouldn't be. And that's something that we really need to work on curing in the industry so that we can get software safer sooner.